once again looking to revisit the top side of the map. And Sonic Duck's gonna land onto Stormblast. No flash available, as you mentioned. The knockback just gonna be enough. Last auto attack frees him up. Stormblast should be falling soon. The chain lash is gonna be there, just barely cleaning that up. Jaffe.
I feel like Dax is definitely better with his engages compared to me. He finds his angles really well and is able to jump onto my carries really well. Of course, I feel like I'm still better in playing at a control environment. If I'm able to stop his engage, then I feel like I definitely have the ability to outplay him and clean up the fight.
I'm going to be honest, and it's no offense to Kenny Train, I don't remember what it's like playing against him. I think that personally, when I'm playing games, I'm so tunnel visioned on my team that I don't really look back, and I haven't bought it too much for the games. So when I think of Kenny Train, I think of him as another jungler that I'm trying to outplay in an FOF game.
We have to watch out for a couple of things. One of them is obviously going to be Jaffe's split pushing. He's really good at choosing a split pushing champ and successfully getting those off. So we're going to have to make sure that we watch out for that. And then we're also going to have to make sure that we watch out for them picking us off, because we've noticed that BBZ likes to pick out our players that might be splitting and huddling together and trying to get picks on us instead.
I think we're going to win because we played better. And honestly, it's not because I think we're better. I think it's going to come to how Fat Pikachu is able to handle the best of 5. Personally, I'm not too worried about BBZ's mental. We've played a lot of games with each other, and through, I think, best of 1s is actually where we're at our weakest. So I think that going into a best of 5 series, I'm very comfortable doing it after doing it like for, I think, what, 3 or 4? I'm honestly lost track, but 3 or 4 FOF seasons. In terms of being able to play through the games, I'm actually super confident in our team. It's obviously going to be new for Firemana and Jacob, but I have full faith in them to be able to handle the games. And I think that if it goes to 5, we win. And personally, I think it's going to be a 4 or 5 game series, no matter what.
Jakunk and Blackpink Trash were obviously gone for a bit of vacation during their summertime, and now that they're back, I feel really confident that our practicing is going to be getting us into a really solid spot. We've been preparing for our playoffs by playing a lot more flex games and by reviewing games that we've already played through, like our tiebreakers with UB and our previous games for the getting into playoffs. We've noticed we need to really communicate a lot more, and we've been trying to do so and practice it in our flex games.
If Blackpink's down in the bot lane, we have to make sure we don't let Red and Jacob fall behind, but honestly, the goal is to not get Jakunked.
And welcome everyone to FOF Season 7 quarterfinals here. Fat Pikachu versus Blue Bayou Zoo to kick off another chapter in FOF's legacy. My name is Adam. Alongside me tonight is Erebus. Erebus, how are you doing on this wonderful Monday evening?
You know, in the words of a famous cat, I hate Mondays. It's Garfield, by the way. Otherwise, not too bad. I'm excited to see how this goes. I haven't really been keeping up with the league. I was gone for a few weeks, so I'm excited to see what people are cooking.
Yeah, always curious to see how things will turn out because, of course, Fat Pikachu versus Blue Bayou Zoo are 3 versus 6 seed in the inverse order of how they show up on your screen right now. Should be an interesting one, considering how strong Fat Pikachu started off this season and how they've sort of fallen from grace compared to Blue Bayou Zoo, who were stuck in sort of the Blue Bayou, known as 4th place for as long in the season as you could go in that position before finally getting that 3rd spot here for playoffs. I am interested to see what Fat Pikachu cook up here because Blue Bayou Zoo coming in as, I would say, quite heavy favorites.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that personally, I've been in a position where you're in 4th place and you were expected to be the heavy favorites in your first playoff game, and then you lose 3-1. So
I wonder who that happened to.
It happened twice in a row, believe it or not. But yeah, so I would like to see Rel jungle. I don't think we're going to see Rel jungle. I want to see Rel in general. Don't want to see Sivir. Not really at all. It's a weird one, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Zeri makes more sense.
what cooks up for both of these teams as well, because of course we're all coming off the back of a great weekend of LCS finals, LEC, LCK finished up as well, so a lot of pro data to take a look at, and a lot of these teams like to mirror that with their compositions here. The B1 Maokai, I think we've seen that more often than not in this league as well, but the Jarvan is the answer from Dax. Very interesting to see that get picked up. And as you mentioned, this Sivir is a little bit out of left field, but I want to see how they're able to play around the Sivir, because you can build a comp around that champion and do incredibly well with it, in the same vein as building a comp around a Zeri, especially when you pair that up with a Rakan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to, I mean, they have similar ramp-up times, which is something that's going kind of positive for Sivir. Zeri's not going to be overly, spooky until Sivir's also a little damage-oriented. I have to see what the third pick is before I form my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah. So far, I would say Fat Pikachu is a better draft. BBZ definitely has better initial lockdown, but there's a lot of ways to kind of skirt around that currently.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that this Amumu gets picked up here as well, considering the flex potential it could have. Jacob Dudar, of course, can pull that through in the support, where it's been seen more often, I want to say, in the last little bit. But of course, in the jungle, still very strong, fits into Dax's champion pool. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see Jaffe pull something off the wall, such as a Jarvan in that top lane. But of course, still a couple of questions left unanswered. We know who the AD carries are. We know who the support is at the very least for Fat Pikachu. So sort of rounding out what we want to see through here. And another question that I like to ask people, especially in game one of a best of 5, is how much risk you actually want to take in these series, because going into game one, you don't want to be revealing too much of your information. This could just be a very safe draft from both sides, picking champions that were already on the radar, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a great point. I would say that the first game is the most crucial to your mental. If you win the first one, there's a lot less pressure in general. Even if you lose 2 in a row, you still have the okay, we can beat them in your head. So that's definitely plays into it pretty significantly. I'd say no wacky stuff probably in game one unless you want to flex for sure. I would like to see maybe a Nico come out. Nico's in a pretty good position right now. Very strong, hard to deal with. Good flank potential, sets up kind of pretty well with what BBZ's cooking in terms of just you're staying in the one spot you're in. I think it'd be good.
I think there's definitely some agency to move around here. Nico gets picked up by Fire Mana as well. So, starting to round out this sort of death ball comp from the side of Blue Bayou Zoo here. They really just want to focus on that team fight, take every single engage opportunity that they are afforded. I am very intrigued by what they're bringing out in game one, because a lot of times they'll just leave Jaffe on an island, just do whatever from there. But in this situation, you could just toss in another team fighter into this comp and just make it a full death ball, really giving a new style to what Blue Bayou Zoo want to do. Granted, they've been productive on both sides of the coin. This one's a very interesting pickup in return, though. The Yone picked up by Oatmeal 1234, sort of as a little bit of a gauntlet showdown to be given over to Fire Mana, who has been very confident on that Yone in the past. So overall, game one draft is a little bit interesting here. I really like to see these teams sort of switch it up.
Yeah, I think BBZ has an easier to execute composition. Camille can match Jax, obviously. Camille can out-pressure Jax. Played well. Jax eventually is just obnoxious to deal with regardless, so Camille at least can match. But it's really going to come down to how useful Nico is compared to how useful Yone is, I believe. I don't think Sivir fits in regardless. I know you kind of maybe want to speed up, but at the same time, Kai'Sa is just a better pick in my opinion. So who do you think is going to take it based off draft alone? If these were two completely random teams, no idea who the players are, who do you think is going to win?
If I'm turning nameplates off, honestly, or if I at least know the league that we're playing in, I would obviously give this to Blue Bayou Zoo here in this situation. It's just so much easier to execute. As you were mentioning, it's press R on 4 of these champions, let Jaffe show up on the side, or let the Jax, anonymous Jax, show up on the side, and you'll be good to go from there. On the flip side, though, Fat Pikachu do have they have a well-rounded comp as well. They have a very similar comp as what BBZ have pulled out for themselves, but there's just a couple more question marks there. Zeri really gets shut down by the likes of Nico, the likes of Amumu, can it gets really difficult to fight there. Of course, if those ultimates miss, Zeri's just allowed to free fire for as long as possible. Will definitely be able to supplant a lot more of that damage, but nonetheless, it should be interesting to see how Blackpink Trash's return to FOF as well comes through, because this is a player who had an excellent first half of the season, then went on vacation, pulling a good old G2, so to speak, taking a little bit of a break, coming back. We'll see if they're revamped to come through with a victory for Fat Pikachu. Nonetheless, on to the Rift we go. Game number 1 of this best of 5 between Fat Pikachu and Blue Bayou Zoo. Very excited to see how this one works out.
I'm interested. I think that Maokai should start topside. Or maybe not. They're 5 stacking for some reason, I guess, to go see if Camille's tabbed out for Spotify. Don't walk in the bush. You know. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Stormblast actually gonna get flashed on by Jacob Dudar here. He got the flag, not the drag, but they might still be able to chase this one down. Stormblast needs to flash over that wall. The Ignite, though, ticking down. One last one is Jacob Dudar gonna pick up first blood and a blow to the spirits of Fat Pikachu very early on into game number 1.
Not so good. Flat, that's going to be a relatively abusable lane, top lane, if the wave gets into a good spot for Jaffe for a while. Very, very good pickup. To be honest, I am genuinely surprised that happened. So yeah, Maokai should still just start top, path bot, easiest ganks, Mumu no flash, Mirror Jarvan, you beat at the bottom at the same time. I think you probably do a little more damage in those 3 at level 3. But whatever. Not my game. Not my decision. Oh well.
As you can see, both of them actually going to have opposite starts here. Dax on that top side of the map, starting that red buff. Could potentially go back for a regank onto Stormblast here, who, as we talked about, doesn't have that flash anymore. Could be in a little bit of trouble in that lane if the wave gets in the right spot. If the Jarvan comes back for a regank, multiple different options for that to work out. And Jaffe, being as experienced as they are on a champion like Jax, on a split pusher who just loves to sit in that side lane, this is going to be a real tough time for Stormblast early on. And of note, Stormblast normally thrown on Ornn duty or something, the Ornn banned out, now forced onto this Camille, and already having to burn your flash. This isn't a good look early on, as Jaffe already harassing away at what Stormblast wants to accomplish.
Yeah, you just gotta let the wave crash. Lose a few CS. You can't really take the trade into Jax and his Counter-Strike up when you don't have your E. But, he took biscuits, so it doesn't matter. That's a quick little tip for everybody. If you take biscuits, it doesn't matter. Oh, wait. Oh,
yeah, on this mid lane here, Oatmeal 1,234 is going to be wishing they had about that much health to remain. Dax, nice little gank coming through, clears that top side, comes right to the mid lane, makes that Jarvan gank happen, and already you can see BBZ opening up an 1,000 gold lead extremely early on into this one.
Well, the issue is Yone didn't have biscuits. Yeah, that's a great gank. Level 3, 12 CS jungle ganks are always the most tilting thing on Earth. Full clear is a lot more fun to do. You get better gold. It's a little more kind of like secure, but it did work. And it looks like he's foregoing his camps entirely again. And this might get 2 flashes, right?
Yeah, the Jarvan full clear your top side, gank lane, forces the flash out of Blackpink Trash. Jacob Dudar, though, going to follow up on this one, has that Ignite back up, doesn't have the flash, so doesn't want to overextend. Nonetheless, this is affording Champion Red a lot of space on this bottom side of the map here. Thus far, BBZ are just sort of throwing the elbow out, knocking the side of Fat Pikachu down a couple pegs. No nonsense gameplay coming through from them right now.
I do like the preventative wards, so Maokai can't even pick up Raptors on respawn as well. That would be a very bad feeling. Generally speaking, when that happens, you want to punish in some way. Top's not in a position to punish. You're not going to be able to get the respawn of the camp. You're going to take 1 crab, and you are going to be a little sad about it. But
Granted.
There's still the flash timer on bot. Dax no longer has a flash timer. If Maokai and Yone get something going, they can definitely lock somebody down.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be looking for this top dive though.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the CS on this top side. It's a pretty big wave pushing back into Jaffe yet, who hasn't found a chance to reset yet. The wave's bouncing back, but Kenny Train just going to opt to leave this lane alone. And honestly, the first couple of minutes were very un-BBZ-esque. They really like to play towards that mid game a lot more. But this time around, trying to get a little bit more control over this game, start to dominate Fat Pikachu as soon as possible, try and wrap this one up as quickly as they can. Of course, I had an opportunity to play a couple of games with BBZ yesterday, and I don't know, they were 2-0 with me as their AD carries, so, might tell you something about Red, but something else to note, Red has Airy as the rune on Sivir. Is this another Red build where he's gonna go something crazy like Lethality Sivir and just go to town on them on the spot side? This is always intriguing to see what Red opts to pull out, because I don't know, I have not seen an Airy Sivir, I think, ever.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just objectively worse than Fleet or Lethal. I don't care if there's like a 200 game sample size or was a 5% higher win rate. Like, it's just like, what are you doing? You're gonna tickle them? And if you go lethality, just go Dark Harvest, but don't go lethality Silver. That's weird. We'll have to figure out what the reason. There has to be a reasoning, unless Rin just didn't reset and it's an accident.
It wouldn't be the weirdest thing we've seen in FOF, that's for sure, but nonetheless, Firemana taking a little bit of damage there from Oatmeal in the mid lane. Not really looking to fight at this point on this Nico. And as you can see, Oatmeal still having a good time despite that early gank. Nice little knock-up, though, from Rapterror onto Jacob Dudar. Just reminding them who's the boss. Of note, if we want to talk about suboptimal runes, why aren't people taking Spellbook on Rakan? There was like a FOF champion who did that at some point. It was pretty good, despite some narrow misses in the past in his FOF career. He did win a championship after all, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Those guys were scripty and got banned for life, though. Ooh, big old...
Oh, wow, that's a heavy investment coming through from Firemana as well as from Oatmeal 1234.
Oh, they know.
We'll just be able to get out of there unscathed. It's summoners on both sides, the Ignite and the Flash from Firemana. Flash off of Oatmeal as well, but nonetheless, a nice little tidbit of action in between all of the rather quiet farming since the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, I would say that, BBZ's in a good position. They got the first dragon. They're going to have bot control for a while, just because that seems to be how it's going. Zeri's playing pretty safe, playing for coal, playing for items. They're not really trying to make aggressive trades. I don't really think they've had a lot of trades in general. Maokai coming down. It's a pretty easy gank on the Emerald. Sivir, if you can pop Spell Shield, it's good. This could be good.
Of course, all of this off the back of that early dragon picked up. Next one on the table is the Mountain Dragon, so have to see if that ends up being another point of contention. But Jacob Dudar now in a little bit of trouble. Has that flashback up, is exhausted up, will flash away, but the follow from Kenny Train will be enough. Jacob Dudar, though, still very tanky with that Aftershock. Lots of damage being taken by Blackpink Trash, but it will be to Zeri to clean up that kill. First one on the board for the side of Fat Pikachu.
Very, very good. That is exactly what they needed. They needed something to happen, or else the game was going to kind of slowly slip out of their hands. Lost the dragon, didn't have jungle pressure. Weirdly enough, Stormblast is doing very well in the lane. Camille is a good matchup into Jax. Looks like just the level 1 was a bit unfortunate, so that's something to watch out for. Once Jax has Sunder, it gets a bit different, but for the time being, Camille's in a good spot. I would look to try to make a play around chunking Jax, then going for Herald.
Yeah, we'll have to see what their options are, of course. Stormblast trying to be a little bit cheeky with Dax there. Will be able to clean up that Scuttle Crab for themselves as Dax prevents the top laner from getting away with petty theft there. Only left to the leftovers, but nonetheless, Oatmeal in a world of hurt once again. Pot Blossom lands and Firemana collects another one onto Oatmeal, or the first one for themselves in that matter. Making this life so difficult and turning this into a BBZ heaven as they turn over to this Rift Herald.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just type XD in team chat. They get out of my lane. Very, very, very good for BBZ to continually punish. They seem to have found a general playstyle, like game plan that works, is just clear wards mid. You have a lot of CC, roam up, get the kill. Nico kind of locks Yone in place. Jarvan's there, and then you go get objectives. And Kenny is unfortunately bullied out entirely of his jungle at this moment.
Yeah, Kenny's just not allowed to exist on this top side of the map, especially with how much control Dax has had over these early phases. 9 minutes in, and you can already see significant lead in terms of the camps here. I believe that's 4 camps up already, just preventing Kenny Train from getting to those important breakpoints on Maokai. It's interesting to talk about that, because Maokai doesn't have very many important breakpoints. You just got to get to 6 at some point and get a little bit tanky, but Oatmeal is about to be broken in their spirits as Firemana collects up another one. Oatmeal has been punished time after time. No way for them to get out of that one. 0-3 and 0 to start this one off for Oatmeal is BBZ doing exactly what most would expect, and they're playing well. They're outplaying Fat Pikachu.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very good for them. I would be very frustrated. Amumu shouldn't have been there the second time. Like, there's no reason the Amumu path style stays back. Big engage, maybe?
Yeah, Raptor trying to look for a knock-up. Here comes the Roots, though. Red will just pop the ultimate, use that spell shield to get out of there. So ult for ult between Kenny Train and Champion Red. Could have worked out in some scenarios, didn't work out in this one, and you still have to be careful because now level 6 on both Raptor and Jacob Dudar, both of them can use those big teamfight ultimates to try and make something happen.
Do they know Sivir spell shield timing? Because he's going to go for a flash route, right?
We'll have to see if they're aware of that.
Jarvan's
Red for the
covering.
time being.
Dax knows.
Yeah, they all know. And they're just teasing each other at this point. No way you can sugarcoat this one. They both know it's a 3v3 on that bottom side. And yet nothing will erupt after that. So that is all the investment that ends up getting thrown down. Maokai ultimate for the Sivir ultimate. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, that was interesting. Maokai would, generally speaking, that the tower ult's not going to work. You're going to need to be in the river unless they are like at tower. Good attempt, I guess. What's the win? What does Fat Pikachu need to do to get back into this? You know, I guess just keep trying to funnel Golden to Zeri, try to survive through the mid game without dying too much, and then just hyper carry time.
Yeah, they'll have to do what they can to sort of wrest control back into their favor here, arrange a way for Blackpink Trash to get into the carry situation, and they were able to do that a lot in the early season. A big factor behind how Fat Pikachu started the season 9-1 was because of players like Blackpink Trash and Jakunk. This is another thing to note. Jakunk listed as a sub for today, but not playing in game number 1. We'll see if that ends up changing as this series progresses, but nonetheless, thus far, it's been a situation where Fat Pikachu feel like pawns compared to the queens on the opposite side from Blue Bayou Zoo. There just hasn't really been any gameplay to note of there. Fire Mana, though, finally being forced to use that stopwatch. Big investment coming through from Oatmeal, looking to chase this one down once again. Takes out the clone, but Oatmeal might have overreached a little bit too much. Fire Mana outplays under the tower 3 in a row for Fire Mana on the Nico. This has gone from bad to worse for Fat Pikachu.
Yeah, BBZ is just making the correct plays at all times. They're not going for anything too crazy. You know, Dax did not ult there. I would have ulted because it's funny. So good for him, not just killing himself for fun. And then Fireman is going to do like 1 trillion damage pretty soon.
Granted, on this bottom side of the map, now a little bit of danger here. Jacob Dudar forced to use that Curse of the Sad Mummy. Champion Red trying to run away from this one. Still has that flash available if they so desire, but Jacob Dudar will finally be taken down by Black Paint Trash. The Zeri getting a little bit more gold where she needs it. Just be one going back over to the side of Fat Pikachu.
I do like that they have realized they have to play around bot lane. That is their best way to get like to a point where it's going to be difficult, or I guess like even. Apparently Rift Herald was dropped top and got 2 plates. Looks like that. Nico's going to do so much damage. It's going to be gross.
Oh yeah. I mean, looking at the build already, 3-0 and 2 with that Luden's complete. First mythic of the game, if I'm seeing everything correctly here, and just so far ahead of Oatmeal at this point. Oatmeal's going to have a really difficult time just sort of collecting what is left, sort of picking up the leftovers from the rest of the team, because on this Yona, you do need to have a lot of this power in your own kit. You need to have that ability to do damage. Even if you go for a build, as we saw from M&S in LCS Finals, of this Evan Shroud sort of coming through to take advantage of your knockups and everything, you still need to get to that point. You still need an item before you get that item. You're not a support. You still need your gold, Oatmeal. Still waiting for that to come through nonetheless. But completely unrelated to all of that is this top lane situation where, surprise, ever since that first blood, nothing really has happened. What is happening is Fireman out looking for another kill to pick up onto Oatmeal. That Spirit is going the wrong way. Oatmeal taking a tower shot, just going to be run under tower. Fireman 4 in a row has just made Oatmeal's life a living hell at this point in the game.
That was some clean movement out of Fireman. Good little sidesteps. Nico has very fluid movement. You know, it's just one of those characters that feels good to like walk around on.
Of course, Now, on this bottom side, Jacob Dudar still tempting fate here, as entering enemy territory as if they are a spy. Might not be the spy that they're looking for.
They are
Dax is
so
here as well,
bad.
and this could be danger. Multiple members coming down. Fireman is spotted on the ward. This is trouble for Fat Pikachu's bot lane. Raptor might just have to be the sacrificial lamb despite the quickness being invested. It's going to be a very difficult fight now. Fireman are very low, going to be taking a lot of damage. Blackpink Trash has found Jacob Dudar, and this is the fight that Fat Pikachu were looking for. It's 3 kills picked up for themselves. Dax overreached as well. It's a triple kill for Blackpink Trash. As soon as we were saying they might be dead in the water, Blackpink Trash has revitalized the side of Fat Pikachu, used the quick revive on them, and now is taking control of this game. Of course, it was Fat Pikachu with the electric item getting themselves up back to even slates.
The Raptor clutched that so hard. I mean, the TPs came in at like almost the perfect time, but Raptor's stopwatch coming up, delaying him from dying and getting a knockup ult off, was pretty disgusting and very, very good. And that was a fantastic way to do a counter dive. They lose a tower for it, but I think they are more than happy with the overall result of that.
It was as if BBZ were throwing out as a volunteer, going down there saying, hey, listen, let's see what we can do about this dive. Either this will win us the game off of this play, or we're going to get it back to even. And a slight miracle was necessary there from Blackpink Trash to stay alive through all of that. But nonetheless, we know the caliber of player that Blackpink Trash is and was in the early part of the season. Now that they're back in the driver's seat here, ample qualifications to potentially carry this team to the promised land where all of us thought they were going to be after their amazing start to the season.
There's always hope, you know. Zeri's 5-0. That's never too bad, especially in a composition where, you know, you have a Zeri. Hot take. It's good to have gold on your Zeri. Stormless is just kind of chilling with Jax, which is, I mentioned it earlier, but like it is kind of surprising. I mean, Stormless is playing very, very well in that lane.
Stormbless is doing what they can in a lot of senses. You know, it's a challenging time when you burn your flash early on, but that teleport down to the bottom side was pivotal there, sort of closing the continental gap that was building between these two teams. Of course, now Oatmeal still looking for a little bit of fight, but Fireman is still a very difficult chameleon to kill. With that now building towards the Zanyas. Oh my goodness, yeah, Oatmeal's going to go in for this one, but the Pot Blossom once again comes down. Damage being taken by both sides. It's actually going to be the Roots picking one up onto Fireman. Oatmeal barely surviving despite the Ignite. You know what you can't do? You can't just heat up oats and expect them to burn up. They'll still cook into Oatmeal at the end of the day. Blackpink Trash looking for a little bit of damage as well, but this Static Shiv going to start to be real annoying just because every single time you walk up to a wave, you're taking that extra little bit of damage.
They should change the item or remove it in its current state, in my opinion. Old Static Shiv was chill. It should not be the best item to build on like every 80 carry along with LeBlanc and like several other mid laners. It's fun to see, it's fun to play, like use it, but I think it's pretty unhealthy for the game. Like, look at that. Gross.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the items that Riot has added of all time. I look back to how an item has sort of been such a topic of conversation. Last one I can think of, well, you know, there's always items that are topics of conversation. I can think of Gore Drinker when that was really strong. Divine Sunder was really strong, etc., etc.
Feral Flare.
Oh, we're going that far back. Okay, can I bring out, you know, Banner of Command at that point?
Oh my, it's easy rock Banner of Command.
Do not bring it. Rune Glaive. We're just showing our age at this point, but nonetheless, what has aged, I wouldn't say it's aged the best, is the early game that we were hyping BBZ up to be, because now they don't even have a gold lead anymore. They're down a little bit in gold. Granted, it's 19 minutes in, having a couple of 100 gold here or there doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but their early game lead that we talked so much about has now evaporated, and now they have to start to play towards their team comp's goals, which is to focus on those team fights. Still a little bit away from that one, especially with how many dragons could be slated for this one. We're only at our third dragon at 19 minutes. We could be in for the UB special without UB even being here, of 7 dragons on the board. But it's been an interesting development to see that Jaffe still hasn't really participated in this game. Has just been top lane, pushing, got a tower, sort of doing what Jaffe does. And at what point does that become a little bit of an issue for Fat Pikachu?
I don't know if it's going to, if Stormbless continues to be able to match. If he doesn't have to blow if they both have teleport, Stormblast is going to be able to prevent Jax from getting towers, or at least killing him, unless there's like 2 people involved. The main crux, I guess, would be there's a ton of CC in one singular area on BBZ. And Fat Pikachu has a lot of very mobile champions. If all of that lands, I mean, they're going to obviously wipe Fat Pikachu in a quarter of a second. But if they miss, and Fat Pikachu is able to reposition, use all of their movement abilities, get Maokai in there, and then trap somebody with Camille, the fight's going to be very, very bad because they're very loaded individually into one spell aside from Sivir, right? I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see how, like, I guess the next dragon is probably going to be when the fight develops.
Yeah, and another interesting thing to point out as well is while the Zeri now sitting on 2 completed items, and the Void Quickblade's complete, what is Red cooking?
What did Jeff say? Shiv, Cleaver, Duskblade. I don't. It's stupid.
What is the Sivir
Don't
build?
care.
What is the Sivir build?
Don't care about the analytics. It's dumb. That's. I mean, I guess Cleaver will. Does that proc on your double, like on your boomerang on everybody?
Yes.
That's probably fine, but I mean, who's building a ton of armor on their team? Like, who are you shredding?
Yeah, I guess eventually you'll shred the Maokai, but of course that is down the line. Of course, now Jaffe might be able to play the game a little bit against Oatmeal. Nonetheless, fighting the mid lane. Big Quickness going to land on a 2, but the Curse of the Sad Mummy lands on a 3. Great Cataclysm coming down from Dax to get into that backline. Now Blackpink Trash needs to kite away from this one. It is a 1-for-0 in that mid lane. Both supports burning their ultimates, but Dax's Cataclysm really is the difference maker there.
Yeah, very, very good catch. Definitely there. I would say that Zeri is not ramped up to where that's something that's able to be turned around. Maybe if the cleanse was popped earlier, but I think it was kind of smart to hold it for that fight. Everyone else is saying that's the best Sivir build to ever exist, so my bad. I apologize. Sorry everybody. Apparently it's based.
Twitch chat analytics say it's good, so we have to agree with them. It's good.
They got Geico in there. Geico probably knows better.
Some, we'll go with it for now. If it wins, then it's good. If it loses, then we'll blame the build for it. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
we just work to whatever works to our favor, because of course we get to be in front of the mics. They get to sit and chat. This build's so good. What do you mean? I've won 87 games on it. I love you all, Twitch chat. I'm sorry. Nonetheless, here, back to the game at hand. Things starting to even up once again, or rather stay in a very similar spot to where they were 4 minutes ago. Granted, Raptera needs to be careful. Jacob Dudar still looking for all that damage coming through from that Amumu. Amumu does do a lot of damage for a support champion for what it's worth. The passive there just burns away at them so much over time. And when you've got Evan Shroud being one of the strongest mythics in the game right now, you're going to be bound to do a decent chunk of damage to him.
I straight up didn't know what Evan Shroud did until yesterday.
Evan Shroud's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's
a great item.
It was crazy. I played Alistar. It went nuts.
It's one of those items that that can be forgettable because it's one of the newer items, and you're like, oh wait, yeah, every new item that they add is going to be strong in some capacity. It's why we might see that come through from other champions down the line. I know one that could do quite well with it is the champion Kenny Train's playing here, the Maokai. Not bad with that Evan Shroud. Seen it pop up on Ral Jungle, seen it pop up on Yone. I think Chovy built that once, so there's definitely some places for it as expected here. Red finishing up that Black Cleaver as expected as you can get with the Sivir build, but we'll have to see how this turns out in terms of the damage, because one thing to note, you're going to be missing a little bit of that extra crit damage that you're really looking for on Sivir if you want to spread that around, unless you're able to land get those Black Cleaver stacks building up, you shred them down from there. We'll have to see how that turns out.
I guess it allows Jarvan to go Sojin also. It's interesting.
Apparently.
I mean, that's probably good.
It's what Dax has picked up for themselves. We'll have to see how that plays out in the end. But of course, still just in this lull state for the time being. And this is the major thing about Zeri versus Sivir. Both of them just want to farm till 400 CS, get to 5 items, and then just win the game off of that. The thing is, when it's on either side of the coin, you're just going to get a lot of mid lane wave clearing back and forth, and your major fights are going to happen around these objectives. Granted, Cloud Dragon now coming up onto the Rift. We'll have to see if these teams want to invest into it. Both of these top laners with the teleports available, still chilling on that top side of the map. But for now, they've drawn the line of scrimmage. Neither of them want to cross over the forbidden line of the scuttle. Okay, Blackpink Trash is just
You
going to go over
shouldn't
the
be the
line.
first one to do that, but okay.
Yeah. They're going to start it up here. Fat Pikachu playing towards this bottom side of the map. You can see Jaffe's playing so far back, waiting to drop that teleport as well. Dragon taken down to 6k before resetting. Here comes the teleport in from Stormblast, though. They will be the first one to invest the summoner in. Jaffe still just clearing that wave, so might not opt to go for this one. Never mind. Here's the teleport coming through. 3k HP down. Here come the roots. Big Pop Blossom only will land onto one. Here comes the fight afterwards. Oatmeal going to find Fireman very early on into that fight. Dragon, it's just an afterthought now. Stormblast finds another one. Jack's going to be getting one in return. Maokai going to find one onto Jacob Dudar as well. Kenny Train ends up having a great ultimate there. Fat Pikachu find 3. They get the dragon for themselves as well.
That was very good from Fat Pikachu. It was weird from BBZ. I don't know if they didn't have a good way to flank with Nico. I don't think there was really a point to posture for the dragon.
Oh man, yeah. Red just going to be taken
There's
down
that
by
Black Cleaver
Oatmeal.
coming in.
1,234. Gale Force was the option that the Yone went for instead. So getting an extra little bit of burst damage there in the combo, and it works out in kind. And now Fat Pikachu starting to take a little bit more of a lead here at 2,000 gold.
Oatmeal just has unbreakable mental, I guess. If I started off 0-5-0, I would have been I would have tried, but I would have been pouting big time. Yeah, Shuriken would like to inform us that he's not instant oatmeal, he's overnight oats. You gotta let him soak a little bit. Let him get used to the environment, and then he kind of pops off.
Gotta figure out how to survive the first 20 odd minutes or so, but now Oatmeal has come to play. Now building towards what looks to be a hull breaker as well with the Phage potentially. So going to go for more of that split push route as well. And now you have 2 options to sort of match Jaffe on the side lane. Does that become an issue when you have to consider Firemana doesn't really want to be leaving the team for too long either?
I don't know. It's interesting because Firemana was matching Jaffe and was pushing him under tower. And Stormblast was matching Jaffe and pushing him under tower. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from just farming mid. I don't think they really have any wave clear to be able to get to the mid tower if Sivir exists, but I wouldn't be unhappy with Camille, Zeri, and Yone all getting individual XP with farm for an extended period of time. So Jax has to answer right now. Looks like Yone is trying to cheese him. Maybe he's thinking Nico's coming back, but we'll see.
And of course,
he just leaves. All right.
It puts the pressure on BBZ to make a play here because Blackpink Trash, in their return to Fat Pikachu here, has been unkillable thus far. 5-0-3. Lots of damage coming out from this Zeri. Exactly what we want to see out of a player of that caliber. Of course, Jaffe going to be going to town here against Oatmeal. Counter-Strike not quite going to land, but now here comes the support from Kenny Train coming in. Jaffe now running back towards their own base. Counter-Strike is back up, though. Got to be careful. Jaffe going to land the stun onto Oatmeal. Will they be able to find it? Yes, they will. Shut down. Picked up by Jaffe. And now Kenny Train in a lot of trouble as well. Raptor trying to come and supplant this as well. Jaffe somehow, some way going to get out of that one. Drops the mastery as only Jaffe could. It's a 1-4-0 picked up, and so much control that was held over that bottom side of the map by Fat Pikachu, now rested back over, and this Baron going to be started up by BBZ.
Man, they spent a lot to try to kill him, too. They can't contest the Baron unless something terribly goes wrong. Raptor has no ult. Has exhaust, I guess.
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
Jacob Dudar, though, flashing in. It's going to be a Pop Blossom landing onto Kenny Train as well. Fat Pikachu invested so much for that bottom lane play, and it leaves them with very little to reply with. Blackpink Trash now getting shut down here on the side here. It's a pickup for Dax, as it's 3 kills around the Baron picked up by BBZ. They'll turn their focus back over to the Purple Worm. Stormblast just has to sit and watch while they take the Baron buff for themselves, and BBZ, always a fun game with them. They get that early game lead. They throw pretty heavily, but now getting it back in the mid game.
Yeah, now it's super awkward for Fat Pikachu again. There's no point in checking Baron there. Like, they're taking Baron. You cannot win the fight. Best case scenario is you all die. And you know what? That's what happened. Very good call. I mean, that all stemmed from Jaffe surviving 3 people using all their ultimates and abilities on him for 30 seconds. So, good job, Jaffe. A+.
Now we have to consider what the next steps are for Fat Pikachu, because that lead that they had for a decent chunk of that early to mid game there has now evaporated, gone back the opposite way, but they still have tools to survive here. Of note, Zeri, 3.5 items. That's still significant to the side of Fat Pikachu here if they want to get into the later stages. All eyes have to be on Blackpink Trash here for Fat Pikachu fans, for any FOF fans at this point, because they are going to be the difference maker in this game, I think. Will they be able to get to that point? Will the front line survive long enough? Yet to really be determined. We haven't had a full 5v5 yet between these two teams, and as we mentioned, the team fighting from both of these sides can really become explosive over time.
Yeah, I mean, the team fights are very instantaneous and they are over very quickly, and it entirely depends on how the first like quarter of a second goes to decide who's going to win the team fight. I do like that. Okay, they should don't contest this.
Yeah. Just the dragon taken by the side of BBZ. It is the teleport, though, invested by Stormblast to potentially consider an engage there. But now all 5 members on this bottom side of the map here. Nice little knock-up. Will be cancelled out by the hook shot, but Stormblast still flashes away. Maybe scared of the Cataclysm follow-up.
Yeah, I would have been, for sure. I don't like the teleport play there. I think you just get top tower and then you come back and you try to help wave clear. But it is what it is. And we're going to see how this goes. Maokai has a flank. They are aware that he has a flank.
Oh, man. Yeah, Kenny Train's in so much trouble. Will drop down the ultimate to get out. Will flash as well. Quickness, though, goes in. Raptor gets shut down immediately. Red finds a kill in return. But look at this. A huge Fate Sealed onto 3 members. Doesn't quite have the damage to follow it up. But now Oatmeal needs to run for the hills. A great look at an engage, but just not enough damage on the back end. I think Blackpink Trash wasn't able to get into that back line. And unfortunately for Fat Pikachu, aren't able to get anyone. And it is simply Raptor going down for the trouble.
Honestly, you take that. Very, very good ult from Oatmeal. I don't know about... I don't play Yone, so I can't talk about the build, but Sterix seems a bit odd. Whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just weird. Very, very, very good ult from Oatmeal, though. That prevented them from probably losing a tower. They weren't going to lose an inhib, but I would say Raptor traded his life valiantly to prevent that from happening, and then Zeri also got to pick up a Lord Dom, so we're on 4 items Zeri at this point.
Yeah, 4 items Zeri will definitely need that Lord Doms as well to help cut through Jaffe, who did pick up that Frozen Heart 3rd item, has the plated steel caps now building towards what could be a Zonya's as well. So a decent amount of bonus armor built up on the Jax, but you still can't deal with the damage. Can you, Oatmeal? Gonna have to use that Gale Force to get out of dodge. Nice little ultimate from Kenny Train to provide an escape path for Oatmeal. Preventative measures are necessary at this stage of the game. With the gold lead slightly in BBZ's favor, it is still not out of the realm of possibility for Fat Pikachu to get back into this one. Granted, Stormblast not in the best of positions here. Going to be forced to hook shot out of there as it's another tower going over to the side of BBZ.
Yeah, Fat Pikachu can't really do a ton in terms of answering necessarily, but they could definitely be catching waves a little bit better. They're kind of hemorrhaging at the moment, and Jaffe's out of control. Jax has become a bit of a monster. You have exclusively AD damage aside from Maokai, so he goes Frozen Heart.
Oh man, but this might be trouble on the opposite side. Oatmeal pulls Jaffe all the way into tower, and Dax is under this tower as well. Needs to be careful. Will be shut down by Oatmeal, and now Stormblast going in. Jacob Dudar is isolated, but here comes Fireman. A big ultimate coming down. 4-man Pump Blossom into the Curse of the Sad Mummy, and Champion Red is just dishing out all the damage on the backside, but it's the rest of the BBZ side who are going down. Moving forward is Oatmeal. Champion Red is staying alive forever. It's 2 kills picked up. It's 3 kills picked up. And now Kenny Train needs to run for the hills. Is there enough damage to Sapling? We get a double ace. What is this? It's a quadra kill for Red.
That was a lot. Super
no one's
good.
alive.
No one...
What do we do?
And we go to... This is where we run ads, right? We have ads, right? Let's just run some. It's just minions, guys. So that was weird. Talking about how Jax is unable to die, immediately dies. Jarvan's GA gets popped under tower. Team fight looks great. There's 3 of them at low health. There's a Sivir that's going to throw a Q and has lethality. And you know what you should not do? You shouldn't walk forward. You just walk backwards. You got all the kills. Sivir's going to try to kill you. Just walk backwards. And it would have been fine. But instead, You know, it's funnier this way, I guess. It's more.
I guess. I mean, we literally had nothing to talk about there for 30 seconds because everyone was dead. Double aces, so rare in League, and yet we get one at this pivotal moment. And now the whole map is reset in a sense, despite BBZ looking like they overreached a little bit too much. A huge ultimate, a huge pop blossom from Fireman. It turns that back around, leads to 4 kills in Red's pocket. And now these two AD carries dead even in terms of their items. Stopwatch on one side, extra longsword on the other. Red is starting to turn into quite the champion for himself at this point, looking to try and repeat as FOF champion as well. Definitely adding to the legacy here, playing a new role, pulling out whatever builds he can find on the internet apparently, and them working.
Yeah, he's still going off Lol King, from what I've been told. You remember that? You remember that website? Good old days.
I
Whatever.
MOBA Fire. That was. Ooh.
Apparently, it's the Korean build. Everybody's still yelling about the build. We get it, guys. It's the right build. I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize deeply. This Baron should be free unless we get the sick pop steal, which would be awesome.
Yeah, the teleport, though, coming in from Jaffe around the back to potentially play a gatekeeper a little bit. Dax instead says, nope, we're not doing Baron. Let's look for someone. Kenny Train might be the first member on the agenda. Heard about the forest fires happening all over the world. This one might be a forest fire in the FOF server here. Red gonna get jumped on here, but Kenny Train just sort of buying time for the rest of the team because meanwhile in the mid lane, Jacob Dudar's taken out of the play as well. It's a 1-for-1 support for jungler. Could just turn right back around to that Baron if they so desire, but instead going back to this mid lane, get a little bit more wave prio for themselves.
Weird. Really good, I guess, decision from Maokai to just try to get away once they decided to peel off. I do think that they could have stuck it regardless. It's definitely not a flip now, though, so I do like this decision. And they're going to have a hard time getting in with Fire Mana having Flash ult Zanyas. This might go very poorly for them in a second.
Are they aware who Fire Mana is? Oh my goodness, huge ultimate coming down. The Pop Blossom lands onto everyone, and that's the fight that BBZ were looking for. They get 4 more at the Baron. No jungler up and available. It'll be Baron into a reset into what looks to be a final push here for the side of BBZ. Looked rough in the middle there, but nonetheless, they're still finding ways through 7,000 gold up at this point.
Yeah, BBZ can just end, can't they?
They're looking for the end here, yeah.
Seconds on everybody except for Maokai. Jarvan should just go mid with his flag percent attack speed.
Potentially just looking to get a couple inhibitors. Maybe there's a chance that they survive this onslaught for Fat Pikachu, but nonetheless, great execution on that Baron fight there. Pick up that purple worm for yourself. Get this mid inhibitor. Potentially get a second one for yourself before everyone respawns, but huge gold swing going back in favor of BBZ.
You know, they probably could have ended, but I get playing safe your first game. You know, you're ahead, you've thrown your lead a few times, might as well just make the safe, more guaranteed plays. Get double inhib, Dragon's up in 3 minutes, it's a solo you don't really care about. Just have Jack's top side, if you want to teleport, doesn't matter, you can just walk mid and then have 4 robot. And you should be good.
Yeah, and I mean, these builds really starting to round out as well. As we talked about earlier, the Zanya is now complete on Jaffe, means that they can jump in, they can survive for such a long time, just stall out the game, prevent Zeri from having as much pop as she potentially wants to have. Of course, been sitting on this, never mind. Caster cursed it before I could even say the full sentence. Guardian Angel now completed on Blackpink Trash, and now all eyes go down to the AD carry here. Finally coming back after what seemed to have been a month-long break for Blackpink Trash, looking to pull Fat Pikachu back to their former glory. But this game one, despite their great performance, it's still been rough around the edges for the rest of Fat Pikachu.
I would definitely agree with that. They seem to have the right idea most of the time, but they've had a few very confusing decisions that have led them to get into the spot where their early game wasn't great, their mid game was really good. They made a lot of odd choices that have led them to kind of where they are. And I would say that BBZ would have to do something very terrible for this to go wrong for them at this point.
And of course.
And that might happen, but you know, we'll see.
I didn't say it for just for clarity's sake there. I did not say anything about BBZ doing anything wrong here. They seem to be doing everything right. As you mentioned, 4 members on this bottom side. Jaffe pushing that top side of the map as expected, so to speak. But Oatmeal gonna find 3 with that Fate Seal. Oh my goodness, they find another huge team fight. It's a shutdown picked up onto Red. Curse of the Sad Mummy has no victims here.
Dax ends.
And nonetheless, Jaffe still trying to end the game. Counter-Strike gonna come down, but there might be too much damage here. There's too many minions in the base. Will it be enough? Stormblast barely staying alive. Jaffe will go down as well. It's a defense at the Nexus here. 4 members of BBZ go down. They're chasing after Dax as well with this teleport from Oatmeal. Somehow, some way, Fat Pikachu, stay alive.
They can't keep getting away.
It's game 1. It's game 1. Come on.
They can't keep getting away with it. Every time BBZ has victory and just in their grasp, and then they decide, you know what, we're gonna do something goofy real quick. I think it's very good that Fat Pikachu's recognizing the opportunities for engages on these, because it's kind of difficult to engage into BBZ effectively. So I mean, the plays are super clean. It's weird. Like, their team fighting is very, very, very good. If they just make correct decisions, they will have a chance of winning this game now.
Yes, and of course, now cresting the 40-minute mark. Wouldn't be a game with Red if it didn't go to 40 minutes at some point in this one. But Chempunk Chainsword is actually the final option here, looking to sort of cut some of the healing that comes through from Stormblast, from Kenny Train. Raptor has a little bit of healing in the kit as well. Of course, Oatmeal with that Bloodthirster now has lifesteal that can be cut down on. So multiple good targets to get that anti-heal on. What will that mean in the long run? Yet to be determined. Kenny Train, though, taking a long train into Dax's face here. And of course, we get the UB special. 7th dragon of the game has spawned. Soul for either one of these teams is on the agenda, but BBZ seem to have control over this one for the time being. No
Just
real contest coming down.
There.
It's going to be given over. But here comes the Pop Blossom, going to land onto 2 members. This might be the fight that they were looking for here. Blackpink Trash still left untouched on the backside of it, but Dax is taking down Stormblast. Blackpink Trash still alive, still dishing out the damage. It's a double kill picked up by Red, and it is Blackpink Trash versus the world. Will Desire be able to do it? It's a 2nd kill picked up here, but Blackpink Trash now has to chase the fight. Their waves are pushing in. The Nexus is exposed. I don't think it matters.
Jeez.
Blackpink Trash is on the wrong side of the rift, and Dax will simply walk it down with Fire Mana. That will be game 1 going over to Blue Bayou Zoo as Jaffe taunting away at the opponents. Good game.
Yeah, that was a bizarre amount of back and forth and who I thought was going to win the game, to be honest. That was a banger.
What a bizarre way to start this one off, but of course, BBZ will not leave the content untouched here, giving us quite the game 1 with pretty much everything that you could have expected out of a League of Legends game. A double ace, a Nexus defense from Fat Pikachu, pop-off plays coming through from both AD carries, in fact. But at the end of the day, all that matters is what shows up on the scoreboard there, and it will be 1 in the column for BBZ. However, we will take a short break here while we get set up for game number 2. Fat Pikachu will have side selection for this one. We'll keep you updated on that as well. We'll be right back.